Hi, these comments are for SF, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of the lessons at otconlinetoeflcourse.com. And you are one of my 30-day TOEFL speaking bootcamp course students. Whoa! And let's see how you did. So it looks like you're doing, I think, an integrated speaking practice test. And I'm getting ready to listen to your response right now.
The professor gives a lecture about how producing electricity benefits certain fish. To begin with, the professor mentions that fish need food to survive. So they produce electricity in their body, which helps them to capture their prey. The professor gives the example of eel that produces current in its body. When it comes in contact with their prey for food, it shocks and paralyzes their prey. As a result, it catches and eats their prey with pleasure. Furthermore, fish has ability to produce electricity in its body, which helps them to navigate environment by detecting objects. The professor gives the example of knife fish that creates electricity in its body. So when they swim close to rocks, it senses an interference in its electric field and avoids crashes into the rock. As a result, it swims away and avoids harming themselves. In summation, that's how the professor explains how producing electricity benefits certain fish.
Okay, so I'm going to put you at 3.0 on this one. You had at least one language use error. Did anybody at YouTube hear it? There's at least one in there. Anybody find, if I missed something, YouTubers, you can put it in the comments below this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, so I think delivery, you do need to work a little bit more on that. You had some problems there, some language use issues. Topic development seems to be pretty organized, right? Okay, let's listen to it one more time.
The professor gives a lecture about how producing electricity benefits certain fish.
It benefits what? Certain fish, right? Certain, almost sounds like you're saying 13 fish. But I think you're saying certain fish.
About how producing electricity benefits certain fish.
Yeah, I think certain fish.
To begin with, the professor mentions that fish need food to survive. So they produce electricity in their body, which helps them to...
So they produce electricity in their bodies. So you want to make bodies plural because you said there, T-H-E-I-R, right? So you need a plural noun there.
Capture their prey. The professor gives the example of eel that produce...
I would say the professor gives an example of either eels or an eel. Either you make it plural, or if you want it to be a singular count noun, put the word an in front of it.
Uses current in its body. When it comes in contact with their prey for food, it shocks and paralyzes.
When it comes in contact with their prey, but what about its? It sounded like before you're using it in the singular sense, so you're having some problems with your nouns. So do you want a singular noun? Do you want a plural noun? Make sure you're consistent. If you talk about fish, eels, and other types of animals, sea animals, be consistent.
Their prey. As a result, it catches and eats their prey with pleasure.
How about it catches and eats their prey with pleasure? But no, they catch and eat their prey with pleasure. Again, you're having some pronoun and some noun issues.
Furthermore, fish has ability to produce electricity in its body, which helps them to navigate.
No, wait a minute. Let's go back to what you just said there.
Furthermore, fish has ability to produce electricity in its body, which helps them to navigate environment by detecting objects. The professor gives the example of knife fish that creates electricity in its body. So when they swim close to rocks, it senses an interference in its electric field and avoids crashes into the rock.
And avoids crashing into the rock. So you're using avoids, which is your verb. So you can't say avoids crashes. So when you use avoids, if you have a verb after that, you need to use it either as an infinitive or a gerund. In this case, the gerund works better, so just avoids crashing into the rocks.
As a result, it swims away and avoids harming themselves. In summation, that's how the professor explains how producing electricity benefits certain fish.
Okay, so the more I listen to it, the more problems I find, right? The lower the score is. So I'm going to put you between 2.5 and 3. I'm going to say maybe 20 to 21 points out of 30. You had some problems with your nouns, first of all, and then using things like its versus their. Be careful about singular and plural nouns. That seems to be a problem for you. In my online course, you can study count and uncount nouns. That's a good lesson for you to study right now. Also, in the grammar part of my course, study the lesson titled Articles. And then you also want to study the lesson called Gerunds and Infinitives. And try to develop a little bit better control of your grammar in those areas. You also had some delivery issues too, so that's why I gave you the score that I did.